In today's episode, we're covering a whole range of parenting topics, from how to teach gratitude to how we find moments to carve out some quality time. Hey everyone, welcome to the Pape Fatigué podcast, the podcast for dads by dads. Today we're doing something a little bit different. Our normal podcasts are planned out and have a very specific theme. But after we're done recording, we always end up continuing the conversation in a more free-flowing fashion, and we're jumping from topic to topic. So this episode is our first in a series we're calling Musings on Fatherhood. Jim's going to kick us right off talking about their Sunday night family dinner.
So the family meeting on Sunday, it's fairly structured. We sit down and, during the week, the girls will eat separately and my wife and I will probably eat afterwards, but we all sit down, we eat together, and the girls set the table. And then we start with compliments and appreciation, where we go around the table and everybody says one nice thing about somebody, and then some appreciation for thank you for doing that this week, or, something along those lines. Then we go through the schedule for the week, talk about what's going to happen. And then we have sort of an open time, any other family business we need to talk about. Sometimes there's some discipline things we need to talk about, or maybe the girls have got some questions. And then we do allowance, and then that's the end. So it is, it's not formal, but it's structured, and you're right.
Right.
Ritual and a certain rhythm to it that feels important. And it not something I did in my family growing up, and I'm not sure that my wife did in her family, but I'm pretty proud of it. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I had purchased a Panda planner. So it's one of these things that sort of helps you get organized, and you talk about like, what are you going to accomplish for the day, and what went well in your day, and then at the week you plan out what you're doing for the week and what went well last week. And one of the things that is in there that you're supposed to do every day is, what are you grateful for? And there was something else. And at least the guy who founded this was like, there's a ton of research around how important it is to recognize the things that you're grateful for, because it makes you appreciate the things that you have. And I think that for most of us, we don't think about that stuff. Like, maybe we think about it once a year for Thanksgiving, if you have that ritual of like going around the table, like, what are you thankful for? But like, that's all, thankful for my health. Like, it's super broad, and that means nothing, right? But to have that conversation on a weekly basis, I think reinforces the sort of daily things, right? You can't be like, oh, I'm happy for my health every single week, right? I think it focuses you on the little things that you appreciate. And I think that the study was like, it just makes you a happier person, because gratitude. You're sort of right. Yeah. It's gratitude, and our glass is half full. Like, I see all of these great things that are happening. There's a ton of other stuff that is beyond my control, and maybe that makes me sad, but here are the things that make me feel good. And it's a way of recognizing that on a regular basis, once a week. And I really like that. And I think that's something that we might try over here. It's funny because our schedule is so funky. And I think you also go through these phases where I'm guessing that sometimes it's just three of you for dinner as your wife is kind of crunching on work. And, it's not unfortunate. It just is what it is for my wife, but there's a little bit less seasonality in what she does. So like, for instance, right now, it's pretty frequent that I'm like, cleaning before dinner. I make the dinner, I clean up, and I put the kids to sleep, because she's just working the whole time. And, tonight I did it all, and she came to dinner at 8:30 when I was putting the kids to sleep. And so I told the oldest one, I'm like, look, you don't have to stick around for the bedtime story. Why don't you go spend some time with mom, color, so you have a little bit of alone time. Cause they saw each other for an hour in the morning, and that was basically it. My wife came back from work, and she was working all through the night. And, so I think also just, it's so important to have those moments to really focus and sit down. And I certainly grew up that way. It sounds like you probably grew up that way, where like meals were always together. And I remember at my house, I was talking to some of my friends from high school, because they would come over, and they're like, we know that whenever we go to your house for dinner's like an hour and a half, 2 hours. Like, it's just what it is, because we just sit there and talk. And, it didn't matter. It was a weekday or a weekend. Like, that was just, it was like 1 hour, and you'd have to work your homework around it, and you'd still have to get dishes done, but that was family time, and it was important. And it can be a struggle for us over here simply because of the schedule that my wife is on. But it is important. And there are times when, when it's just the three of us, and I'm like, I really just want to turn on the TV and just like let them watch TV so I don't have to deal with it. And I always think like, well, at the same time, like here's an opportunity for me to just have a little bit of, time with them. And I always fight that urge, and I always end up at the end of the meal going, well, that was the right move. It was definitely the right move to just have those conversations. And I learned something new about my kid. And we talked about, it forces you to kind of run the whole conversation because there's no other adult.
Right.
But yeah, I think that family time is so important, and I really like what you guys have done. So I think we have to kind of figure out how to fit it into our lifestyle as well.
You make the good point that it's dedicated time, right? And it's priority time. We make it a priority. I think we've only skipped it once, and I think we just skipped it this week because my wife was really sick.
Mm-hmm.
We've done it every single weekend. It's got a nice rhythm to it, what to expect for the week. And then you're talking about the gratitude. There's the gratitude and the compliments and appreciation. So I say something nice about you that fills up your bucket, so to speak. Then I say thank you for something that fills up my bucket. It's an exercise in gratitude, and it's a practice. And I think hopefully we're teaching them that gratitude should be a part of your life, or can be a part of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And it just makes everybody feel better. It's a nice ritual.
Yeah. And, we were talking, I think a few weeks ago, that survey came out that said it's not the amount of time that you spend with the kids. It's sort of how you spend that time with the kids. Right. And so, as parents, we're all obviously stretched right now. And so, really making, if nothing else, that you've got that dinner time where you have that sort of one-on-one, it's not one-on-one, but you have that sort of conversation with everybody, and it allows you to sort of bond as a family. Yeah. You might not be playing with them, but you're getting some sort of deep interaction with them. And that's another thing that I'm trying to find a little more of, because, we're just so slammed with stuff, is like just finding the time to just take a beat, slow things down, and really engage with the kids beyond just sort of the, quick, how was your day? Or like, what are you playing? And, do you want to play a game? And just really having sort of, those deep conversations where you're really learning about your kids. And I think learning about how they're growing, right? The kinds of conversations that you have, and how they morph over the years. And, that conversation that you had with your daughter when she was 5 is going to be very different than when she's 5.5 and 6. And just to sort of to see the arc of what interests them and the kinds of things that they're talking about. I think that, what you guys have done allows for that, and allows to see that on a very regular basis, that I think probably a lot of people, certainly I am one that sort of missed out on, and we have to just sort of make it a point of emphasis to just, you either commit. Yeah, you have to commit to it. And so it's kind of like, all right, everybody, you have to commit. And even if it's, all right, well, just take a 15-minute break, stop what you're doing for 15 minutes. I know you're busy, but just come and quickly wolf something down, or just come and sit with us for 15 minutes and take your food back and work, but at least kind of just sit with us for 15 minutes. Cause like I said tonight, she just, kind of blew past the whole thing. And I get it, right? There are deadlines, and she's not really in control of her schedule, but I'd like to be able to kind of figure out how to make that a regular thing.
Well, you said even 15 minutes. I mean, there's another, I'm sure we'll talk about it another time, but that dedicated one-on-one time for, we call it mommy-daughter time or daddy-daughter time. Even if it's just like 10 minutes, it's really astonishing. Even if it's 10 minutes, just that one-on-one where the kid has 100% of your attention is really powerful. And, to your point, that 15 minutes to join at the table, that's got a lot of weight to it.
Yeah. It's funny because, when everyone was in school, I used to always, so while we could all, drop your kids off in front of the school, I always used to park the car and walk the kids into school, because I treasured that time, right? It's the sort of 10-minute walk when, there's nothing quite going on yet, and you're talking about anything, and, no one's upset from the day yet because it's still morning time and everything. So I have always walked the kids to school, always parked and walked the kids to school, because I enjoy that time. And it's that unfettered one-on-one time to just kind of get a beat on how they're doing. And so that was earlier on when things were a little bit more normal. That was something that was a lot easier to just carve some time out and go, okay, what did you do yesterday, or those kinds of things. And, obviously it's a little bit harder